with the holidays approaching, the story that a lot of lazy commentators use to talk about the city of Philadelphia, that we threw snowballs at Santa Claus. All right.
Oh,
so this Memorabilia Deep Dive is going to be, it's a sports history deep dive. And I'll explain why with the holidays coming up, why I'm wearing this hat. So
nobody does, yeah.
No, let me fix it a little bit. This thing is super tight. Wish feathers are falling off of it. So this is a 1960s Philadelphia Eagles Sound of Brass band uniform. And I'll show the full uniform. I was going to wear it, but it's just way too tight. We have the big Eagles head on the back.
Was that for a child?
No, people were small. People were small.
They're smaller back then, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm using this to illustrate is, with the holidays approaching, the story that a lot of lazy commentators use to talk about the city of Philadelphia, that we threw snowballs at Santa Claus. And you'll see why this is sort of topical to that conversation. So it all starts when the Eagles signed Joe Kuharich as coach in 1964. He was hated from the get-go by Philadelphia, traded away Tommy McDonald, traded away Sonny Jorgensen, had 2 losing seasons right off the bat. His 3rd season, I think he was a game over 500, and for some reason the owner signs him to a lifetime contract with 1 winning season out of 3. He followed that up with another losing season, and then we get into 1968, and got worse. They were 0-11. 0-11 getting into week 13. No, I'm sorry. That's
tough.
Not great.
That's tough to do.
Yeah, 0-11 getting into week 12. And they were in the catbird seat. Let me take this off and I'll continue. They were in the catbird seat to draft the #1 overall pick, who was a legendary franchise-changing player. Andy, do you know who that was in that draft?
So what was it? What year is this again?
That would have been after the 1968 season.
No, probably quarterback. I can't think of 60s quarterback though. No, I don't know. Who was it?
So I'll give you a couple hints first in the chat too. So USC. He went to USC.
Okay. Not yet.
Ended up getting drafted by Buffalo.
Okay. It's not Kemp. No, that's too late, right? Kemp. No.
If the glove doesn't fit.
OJ. All right. Okay.
OJ. So they were in the catbird seat to draft OJ. He was in their control. They went into Detroit Thanksgiving Day and beat Detroit.
You're welcome.
So 1-11. Here we go. Dan again got it. Dan got OJ. So they're 1-11, and they follow that up in the next week with another win. They're 2-11. So they just threw away the chance. At that point, they basically had sealed that they were going to lose the 1st overall pick. So they're getting into the last game of the season, home game against the Vikings, December 15th. And the city's pretty angry. They lost out on OJ. They have a coach they all hate. They were 2-12. In fact, when fans were coming in the stadium that game, they were selling, I have some memorabilia to show, they were selling hats, Joe Musco. We're talking about Joe Kuharich. And you can see that there's a glare there, but the water bucket on the ground, he had thrown a tantrum earlier in the season and kicked over a water bucket. So that was part of that reason that was on the pennant. They were selling buttons outside the stadium, Joe Musco. It's an original button from that year. Impeach Kuharich. Again, probably tying in with, I guess Nixon was around the same time, right? When was Nixon? Yeah, so that's probably topical to Nixon. So there was a pretty angry fan base. And they had planned a pageant at halftime. The Eagles Sound of Brass band was going to walk, where they were going to walk on the stadium. They had Santa Claus on a float, and they were going to parade around and play like Christmas music. It was snowed that day. Santa didn't show up. They had no Santa Claus. They pulled a guy out of the stands with a pretty shabby Santa Claus outfit. And they were going to put him on this big pageant, like, not truck, what would you call it? A float, a parade float. and he was going to throw candy canes out. Well, the parade float got stuck in the mud. He couldn't get onto the field. So instead, he walks around the field with like an Eagles equipment bag. Doesn't have like a Santa bag. It's an Eagles equipment bag, and he's throwing candy canes out into the stands. And in funny fashion, I mean, he got pelted with probably a couple hundred snowballs. But, you know, I pelted Andy with a lot of snowballs growing up, and I got a strong arm, right, Andy? I mean, so that's the whole story as to the snowballs at Santa. It's not like a vicious, there was an angry fan base. all the reasons I laid out there, but I mean, snowballs never hurt anyone.
On occasion. I wouldn't be surprised if they're filled with rocks, you know.
It snowed that day. It was just soft snow.
Sure.
Fluffy snow.
Sure it was.
Yeah. So figured I would share that.
You had quite the web you've spun with all your little stuff. You told me from a good start to finish story there. I'm impressed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty coherent when I want to be. Thank you for watching. This was a clip from our recent episode of our Pastime Picks podcast. We're running a giveaway in our second episode of the podcast of a 2023 Panini Prism NBA Basketball Draft Picks Blaster Box. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is to go to our second episode thumbnail shown right here, put a comment in the comment section. On Wednesday, December 13th, we're going to randomly select a comment, and we'll announce the giveaway winner in our third episode, Wednesday night, December 13th at 8 p.m. So thank you for watching, and hope you check out the podcast.